After surviving countless traps, ambushes, and deadly hunters, Wes Baylor finally reaches what seems to be the end of the road. Standing on a narrow bridge with nowhere left to run, he finds himself completely surrounded by Aldrich and his men. For the first time in the hunt, escape is impossible. But instead of surrendering, Wes turns around and faces them head-on. Aldrich, still convinced that he's in control, decides to make a game out of it. With a smug smile on his face, he offers Wes one final challenge. If he can defeat a group of elite fighters, he'll earn a chance to continue. Moments later, 5 opponents step forward, including a deadly female fighter. Outnumbered and exhausted, Wes should have no chance. But Aldrich has forgotten one thing. Wes isn't just a survivor. He's a champion fighter. The battle begins, and within moments, fists start flying. One after another, the attackers rush him, but Wes counters every move with brutal precision. Despite being outnumbered, he refuses to back down. A punch here, a kick there, and before long, bodies begin dropping to the ground. Aldrich, who spent days chasing him, can only watch in disbelief as Wes dismantles every opponent standing before him. Soon, only one fighter remains. Aldrich's strongest man. The two warriors clash in a fierce final showdown. Blow after blow, neither side gives an inch. But in the end, skill triumphs over strength, and Wes delivers the finishing strike. The last fighter falls. Wes stands victorious. For the first time, even Aldrich looks nervous. Desperate to regain control, Aldrich suddenly pulls out a gun and fires at Wes. But Wes reacts instantly. Grabbing the defeated fighter's body, he uses him as a human shield. The bullets strike the unfortunate man instead, killing him on the spot. Before Aldrich can react, Wes charges forward. In seconds, he knocks the weapon from Aldrich's hand, tackles him to the ground, and unleashes all the anger he's been carrying since the hunt began. Punch after punch rains down on the man who turned human lives into a sport. Aldrich is completely helpless. Finally, Wes stops and forces him to his feet. Holding the gun he just seized, Wes points it directly at Aldrich and gives him a taste of his own medicine. Move. Just like Aldrich did at the beginning of the hunt, Wes gives him a 2-minute head start. Then he begins counting down. For the first time in his life, Aldrich becomes the prey. Terrified, he starts moving. Every second feels like an eternity as Wes calmly continues the countdown. But suddenly, the situation changes. A convoy of armed soldiers loyal to Aldrich arrives at the scene. Relief washes over Aldrich's face. Believing he's been saved, he immediately orders their commander to kill Wes. The commander raises his hand. The soldiers aim their weapons. Everything seems lost. Then, just as they're about to open fire, a voice echoes across the area. What? Everyone turns toward the sound. And there stands THA. Even Wes can't hide his surprise as THA runs toward the group. But what surprises him even more is what happens next. Instead of running to him, THA runs straight to the general commanding the soldiers. It quickly becomes clear that she knows him personally. Breathing heavily from the run, she begins speaking urgently to the general. Nobody else can hear exactly what she's saying, but whatever it is instantly changes everything. The general's expression shifts. After listening carefully, he turns to his men and orders them to stand down. The soldiers immediately lower their weapons. Aldrich can't believe what he's seeing. His own men are no longer following his orders. Panic begins to creep across his face. Realizing he's losing control, Aldrich makes one final desperate move. He suddenly grabs a rifle from one of the soldiers and turns it toward Wes, determined to finish the hunt himself. But before he can pull the trigger, the general reacts. With a sharp command, he orders the soldiers to open fire. A burst of gunshots fills the air. Aldrich is struck repeatedly and collapses to the ground. The man who spent years hunting innocent people is finally brought down by the very forces he thought he controlled. And just like that, the hunt is over. The nightmare that began with lies, betrayal, and bloodshed finally comes to an end. Wes stands in silence, watching the man responsible for so much suffering take his last breath. Against impossible odds, he survived. Not because he was the strongest man in the jungle, but because he refused to give up when everyone expected him to die. With Aldrich dead and his criminal operation destroyed, Wes, THA, and the others are finally free. The prey has become the survivor. And the hunter has fallen.